What's up, everybody? Dreadful Rick here. So this is just basically my contribution to a live stream that happened August 12th on the Gas Mask and Hand Grenade channel. So hosted by Jeff, and basically the topic was 10 albums, black metal albums you would bring with you on a desert island or frozen island, whatever you want to call it. And everybody kind of brought their picks. I know 10's not a whole lot, and so, but I'm about an hour into the live stream, so it already happened. So I woke up not too long ago, so I'm a little hungover. I was at a wedding party event the night before, which is why I couldn't attend this live stream. Would have loved to have been there. So sorry about that, Jeff. But I told him I was gonna pre-record it. Maybe he'll show it during the stream, which he did attempt to do, and due to technological limitations, wasn't able to make it happen. So it's okay. This is the whole point of this video here. So it's already pre-recorded. I was thinking about re-recording it, but then it wouldn't have been my natural reaction. Or basically, what you're about to see is basically my picks and recorded before the live stream happened. So you'll get my raw take before I hear anybody else's opinions on these particular albums. But it's interesting seeing it now after the fact and kind of what everybody would have, what I thought maybe everybody would have said, or the albums they would have chosen instead of a particular band. So whereas of what I would have picked. So anywho, so it's cool. You guys are welcome to make your own top 10 list in response to this live stream. It would be cool to see what everybody else would have chosen. So if you're black metal's your thing, and and you want to kind of throw your hat into this thing, I think it'd be very welcome. So glad everybody was able to make it happen, and it looks like it was very successful. Just word of warning, this live stream, it went on for like 5 hours, so you might have to watch it in little chunks at a time. So be a good way to get through the workday, right? So yeah, so not to waste any more time. Just one more thing. Patrick at Heavy Therapy was in the stream, and sorry about what happened, man. I think there was a bit of a misunderstanding there. Patrick's one of the coolest guys in the VC, so sorry that happened to you. Again, Jeff, I know Jeff didn't mean it. It's just things happen, but anyway, so enjoy. And I picked what I picked. It is what it is. So looking forward to see what you guys have to say about it. What's up, everybody? Sorry I couldn't be here live with you all as much as I would have liked to. I will be attending a wedding event. Yeah, there will be people there making vows under God. And as far as I understand, the particular kind of people on this panel are not exactly the most God-fearing or God-believing kind of people, as we will demonstrate with some of the material that we consume here, if you will. So I believe Jeff is going to go around and just have everybody with their introductions and how they got into the stuff or whatever. So I'll just give you my quick little nickel take on this. So, I got into this kind of music through the usual radio rock kind of stuff and everything else. And then let's slowly moved into the heavier stuff by my teen years, and got into some hardcore punk, hardcore, and eventually death metal, all the heavier stuff eventually, and then I went through my little new metal phase, because again, I was that age. So what I'm trying to say is, at the time, I didn't get black metal. I've heard of some of those bands coming out, but slowly it started to click. Especially the more riffier material, the Immortals, Marduk, and that kind of thing. But then I stumbled on a book by the time I hit art school, and Lords of Chaos. You all have heard of it. You all know it. And all of a sudden, those Burzum albums started making sense. All the Philosophism and all that stuff, because it was just absolute weirdness. And I started to wrap my head around, a lot of these guys were no joke. It wasn't just a bunch of, what do you call it, makeup, which at the time I didn't know how to name, right? Corpse paint. Yeah. So, so that's a bit. The rest is history. Here I am, and going to be showing you some albums and some of the stuff that have are going to be taken with me on an island. So, because this is going to be taking into consideration, we're going to be marooned on an island, and I'm glad we finally made this happen. Next logical iteration of the island series. So good job, Jeff. Thank you for hosting this. And so the albums I'm going to show are my picks. It doesn't mean they're my favorite all time. This list can change next month. So 10 is very hard. Damn it. This was the hardest one. This was harder to do than the Doom one. This was harder to do. Just over. Anytime I had to do a top 10 pick, for some reason, black metal, it was a very difficult one for me. So anywho, uh, these are not ranked in any way. So they're 10 random picks. Whatever, no particular order, and taking into consideration of the environment of the island that we will be stranded on. So yeah, there you go. And so I'll be showing the first few, then the next segment, and the rest, you know how it is. So let's get on with it. All right, so for the first 5, I'm going to start with the first 2, which are, in my mind, uh, really evil. So I decided to start with the evil shit right away. And a lot of you may have this band in your picks, I would expect. So I went with Under the Sign of the Black Mark, Bathory. And love this. This is pretty much a actualization of what Corathon was trying to attain for. Even though later on Corathon would say he didn't like this album. I probably wanted to forget and move on. He was pretty much wanting to move on from the sound just entirely. This is why we saw that the whole Viking thing kind of just took over after this album. And it kind of said, well, I did what I needed to do, and there's nothing else to go from here, so I'm going to try some new ideas. I think between the self-titled, which is an undeniable classic, and the Return in here, this one has a sound that's a bit more what you call it, digestible. It's not as raw. It's not as sloppy as some of the earlier stuff. This right here was still more punctual, but still kept its evil essence, if you will. So yeah, between Boss and Corathon, excellent masterpiece right here in my mind. This is one I wouldn't mind taking to me on an island when I need that really evil fix. This one definitely does the job. So yeah, so that's pick number 1. And my next evil take is, I don't know if anyone is going to have this band on their list, but I do love this album. And this is probably a reason why, if this wasn't in this place, I think Panzer Division, Marduk probably would have been in this place, because I needed something to completely skull fuck you, right? Something to bash your skull in. And this album right here, by Enthroned, one of the best things to come out of Belgium, which is, what is it? Towards the Skull Throne of Satan, 97, I believe this dropped. Yeah, when I have those moods and I'm fucking angry and I need to just, just to have my teeth knocked out, this thing will do it too. It's not the blitzkrieg exactly like something like Panzer Division, but this definitely has this really intense moments. I love the drumming on this, and just the evil atmosphere with this album. So Lord Sabathon and those guys, I love this lineup, and true classic right here. So my next pick, I'm going with I love this album. So this is I believe their second album, and this is the band out of the UK, I believe. And this is Balsagoth with Starfire Burning Upon the Ice-Veiled Throne of Ultima Thule right here. And even if you know nothing about this CD or this band, just read the damn song titles on this. Look at that thing. They're like paragraphs. This right here tells you, yeah, these guys are up. There's definitely some shit. There's some stuff going on here. And Balsagoth, this is something I need on an island when I need to really amuse myself. And it's just get caught up in the fantasy. This is the kind of thing that has the elements of what I really enjoy about, God, fucking epic power metal, and just the kind of silliness and things that's going on with bands like Lord We're a Slow Fag, right? But just wrapped in sort of a black metal blanket. And this is a fucking opera, man. It's just completely over the top, and I fucking love it. You know what I mean? Those of you who have Dimmerborg on your list, I don't know if any of you will, and not just how wild and just crazy the keyboard is, even the stuff Emperor was doing. These guys just kind of took it up another notch, and just kind of, and I love how I don't have to take this too seriously, but still really enjoy. There's a lot of good musicianship in this. It's just an awesome band in general. So I hope they get back together someday or put on another project or whatever, because it's been a while. We need another Balsagoth. But this one here is a fucking masterpiece. Love it. So next up, we got, I kind of went with this pair because we're going to be on an island and it's going to be tropical, right? If it's tropical, we want something cold. we forget what it's like to have ice cream. It's just enjoying things that are chilly. So I want to listen to something that's going to make me feel quite cold. And what better country than Norway? So I got these two Norwegian picks. First, obviously, a lot of you may have this band on your list, Immortal. I went with Pure Holocaust. This is the time when the band was still quite young, quite hungry, full of a lot of energy. Not like they quite lost it, but yeah, the band went through a lot of dramas down the road. But this right here is where they're really firing all cylinders, and it really shows. And I just return to this album quite often. I just fucking love the production on it. I love just how just black it really is. I mean, look at that cover. I mean, this is the sound coming through this oozing fucking black, and I just fucking love it. But it's also just so cold. I mean, these are the guys who did At the Heart of Winter, right? It's these guys. So they're still putting out good music. They released a new album this year. Well, Demon has put out a new album this year. Before y'all get in my face about it. All right. And my fifth pick is another cold album. And some of you may have this. I know Jeff will have this band on his list, but I know for a fact he won't have this album because this is not their most progressive album. This is not their fastest album. It's not their most technical album. But I love the riffs on this, and I love this era of the band. And of course, appropriately titled Frost by Enslaved. And this fucking lineup right here, this band, they were still quite young, still trying to figure things out. You can hear leadings of the progressive element kind of trickling in, but it's still very wrapped in that early black metal sound of that you expect to hear in the mid-90s. I fucking love how riffy this album is. And being strapped on an island, I just want something that's just, I can listen to any time, don't have to be in any certain kind of mood. I can listen to this any time. This is fucking great. I love just the sound production, everything on there. Just a great fucking album. So yeah, so those are my first five. Okay, moving along. So my next two picks, I think they're actually quite a good pair. The first one here, a band out of Switzerland, and this is one of those albums that really made me love black metal. I remember downloading this back in the Napster days and going, fuck man, where has this been all my life? And all like 15, 16 years of my life. And so, yeah. So I went with Ceremony of Opposites, Samael. Uh, some of you may have this on this list. Maybe not this particular album, but fuck man, just the way that it opens up with Black Trip and Baphomet's Throne on side B, it's just, this whole thing, man, it's catchy as fuck, man. And I never ever get tired of listening to this. This is just one of those essential damn classics. And they never put out an album again that sounded like this. This is one of those bands that just kept kind of evolving and just changing their sound. And eventually, they went towards that industrial electronic and all those other elements that. And some of you may love that era, and that's cool, But this right here was just, it's something extra special about this particular release right here. I love Worship, and I love all the other earlier releases too. But something here is my first love, and this is will forever something that I want to take with me on an island that I can put on any time and don't have to be in any certain kind of mood. And I feel like this next album, band out of the Czech Republic. So I hear a lot of Celtic Frost influence on this. I don't have any Celtic Frost on the list for this one. You may notice that's a lot of bands because this list is quite small. Anywho, so talk about Master's Hammer, of course. And they dropped this beauty over here. This gem from '91, Ritual. And this is what people wanted, even though it's happening on the side of the world that I was not aware of yet. Celtic Frost kind of lost their way by the time Cold Lake dropped. People were like, okay, they're clearly not going back to those that sound, that we all grew to love with Morbid Tales and all that other stuff. But this band had managed to capture that bit of that essence, and but in their own little Czech Republic kind of way, the kind of stuff bands like this or Root were doing. But man, I just love the riffs on this album. This is a riff monster. Still, quite evil in its way, and just these guys kind of exploring just exciting new thing, and what was going on with black metal at the time, just in their little pocket of the globe, and also has the word hammer in it. Anything that has hammers in there, it's got to be cool, right? Right, Brian? So yeah, Ritual, Master's Hammer, fucking just makes you. This thing's the kind of thing that just keeps your head like this, moving the whole time. It's one of those albums. This just fucking does it. And I love the melodies that they incorporate in this. They just trickle in here and there. And the band would definitely expand and It'd be a little more progressive, experimental as they move on, more atmospheric with their sound. But this is quite primitive compared to what they would do later on. But I just love it for that reason, just for how primal it is. But still, having a lot of influence that bands like Celtic Cross were moving away from. So yeah. Next up, we got another band from kind of an exotic place of the world, and fucking Malakesh, man, with Sphinx. Another one. It doesn't have a boring moment. Everything about here is just so interesting. I don't even know how to describe it. Just the complex scale and and everything else. This is a band that clearly did not want to do a tired formula. They were and just the performance. This, yeah, prescriptives on this one. And what can I say, man? I, I love all their albums. I mean, I could have took any one of them with me on the island and I'd be fine. But this is definitely one that, if I was going to the house is burning down and I'm going to have to grab one Malakesh album, it's probably going to be this one that I want to keep around with me forever. Okay, there's something special about Sphinx. Another one that's kind of weird and exotic in another part of the globe is a band. I'm sure at least one or two of you may have this band on your band with just some exotic, crazy things. Sometimes they incorporate horns. They get very avant-garde. But this particular album by Psy with imaginary soundscapes, look how psychedelic that looks. So they were moving, by the time scoring the feed and then moving on from there, they were just getting very, very strange. It was not surprising coming out of Japan, right? Even looking at that cover, it looks like something that, even though that band Adam Mother's Temple, it kind of looks like something they would do. And Mariah and these guys just fuck, man. So why did I pick this album? This is an album where you can clearly hear they kind of made an attempt to kind of strip back their sound, and it's definitely more rocked out. So if I want something that's still in the realm of black metal, but has the essences of just rock, kind of almost like they're black and roll moments, but the riffs are still very interesting. I mean, it's not really a black and roll album, but it has some of that feel in there, and they kind of simplify some things. And I guess what I'm trying to say, it's a little more digestible for people just getting to Psy. Definitely one I will recommend. And this is one I can put on, and then I don't have to be in a strange eclectic mood. So I think for a lot of people this might be an easier entry, but this is definitely one that I can definitely get into. Also, if I just want to escape, man, those psychedelic moments, man, really do help. Fuck, I mean, you're marooned on an island anyway, right? Anywho, moving on, we have, oh yes, so Psy, and then we got another Norwegian band, and this right here is my number 10th pick. And this particular album, I think, set the foundation for a lot of bands moving forward. And I hear and I have a lot of appreciation for what Over was doing with this album. This is I hate to say the name of this. I'm just going to call it Berg Tat. It's just beautiful. It's got some intense, it's just black metal moments, but it also has this elements of neo-folk and atmosphere, and they were not going for technical perfection like like Emperor. These guys had another kind of gravity to them, and just between the female vocals and everything else, they were definitely looking to stand apart from those other bands. And excellent album. And I think with this is when I move on to the honorable mentions, what influence the other bands are going to see here. But this right here kind of set the foundation for the folk elements. Of course, they would change their sound, definitely very much a 180 away from what they were doing here. But this fucking, what did this come out? 95, something like that, 94, 95. So it was about, by then the second wave of black metal was full on force, and then this thing drops. But this is something I can put on too, just about any time, and just still enjoy it and just ponder nature with it. I know they love those themes. I love the werewolf themes and all that other stuff. So fucking Over. Yeah, so those are my 10. And let's move on to the honorable mentions. Okay, honorable mentions. So moving on from Over, I believe this band would not, Jeff could probably confirm with Don, but would not exist in the same kind of way if Over had not released what they did to influence bands like Agalok. And so I'm going with Marrow of the Spirit. This right here, they don't have any bad albums. I could have easily went with, Ashley Because of Grain or Pill Folklore or Mantle, right? Like, there's just, uh, but this was my first really getting into the band and really understanding, finally getting it, what the sound was about. And this is another one that's just fucking, it's just beautiful. This is the Escape album right here, and it's just between the musicianship and those moments, they know when to take breaks with the melodies, when to really step it up with the tempo. It's just masterful, and this is a band that I hope in some weird future be able to get back together and do another album. I don't know if we'll ever see the light of day of another Algalok album. So I know they release another one after this, but yeah, I'm going with this one. And next up, so I haven't touched the Greek side yet, but I had to include this band on this list because they are one of my favorite bands, and I'm talking about none other than Rotting Christ. And I could have went with Thy Mighty Contract, but I feel like this album steps it up from that album. The production's better, the musicianship is more mature. It's just they have a more clear head about where they're going with their sound. It still stays very much with the feel of Thy Mighty Contract. So by this point, you figured I'm talking about Non Serviam. And this is one that I feel it's a bit of a step up from Thy Mighty Contract, but also at the end of an era of their classic raw sound, the more primal part of Rotting Christ. This is a band that's a little bit of everything. They just constantly evolve and really trying out new stuff. It's what I love about this band. So by the time they released Tragedy of Lost Lovers on the final release, you start to hear some of those really apparent tinges of the gothic side of them. And then, but this right here still kept a lot of the evil that you feel from that, the stuff that was going on with the black metal bands in the 90s. And I love it for that too. So this is just fucking great. So follow up for Thy Mighty Contract on Servium. So that would be coming with me. If something should fall out with the other 10 and I need to swap places, Rotting Christ. And then the next one here is, I would say, have recently declared it's probably my favorite album by this particular project. And I am talking about just one of the best things happening with US black metal right now. And of course, Panopticon with And Again Into the Light. I almost went with Autumn Eternal. I almost went with Rose of the North. But that was just, just no bad Panopticon album. I could have went with any one of them. And I would be glad to go with any of them if someone would just throw any Panopticon album at me and say, this is what you're going to be marooned with on the island. So, but I did a snap decision and go with this one because I feel like this is the most actualized Panopticon album. It has the feel, the emotion, the strain, has some depressive moments, but also have some enlightened moments on top of it. It's just fucking masterful. The mixing with Colin Marston, Spencer Moores. I know he does a lot of stuff with a lot of bands. Panopticon, of course. Just look how beautiful that is. This just captures everything I love about black metal, and is very internalizing. Austin is a master of really kind of putting you in that emotional place. When you're marooned, you're gonna be feeling and experiencing a lot of things. You've been going through a lot of just reminiscing and whatnot. And this album just ropes you in. Fucking masterpiece. And next we have, this is the I guess you could say it's the swan song, right? This is the last full length pulled out by another masterful US black metal album. And this is and then again, I love every album by Judas Iscariot, but something about this one, To Embrace the Corpse's Bleeding, it's just fucking, I love how raw it is, but you can still hear what's going on. You can still hear the just the strain and anger going on with this release. The fucking riffs are there. It's quality, just quality through and through with this kind of thing. This is something that is just done right. Pick up any Judas Iscariot album. It's just fucking, you listen to this, you'll finally get it. You'll finally get it when it comes to black metal. If you're just getting to black metal, this is one of those albums with this particular style that you should definitely scope out, and you'll see what the fuss is about. And this is one that I enjoy quite a lot. And last honorable mention is a band that I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do next. And I feel like this was a good for our last showing for this series, because this is another very internalizing album, very spiritual in a lot of ways. And I love the variety in it. A lot of moments of just space. And then it goes back to a lot of the intensity, a lot of varying riffs. It doesn't fall into sort of any kind of cliches. There's a lot of effort to go into. So it's a two-man project, now three. Well, talk about Canis Dearest, Independence to the Beast. What a beast it was for 2020. Fucking, I never get tired of this album. It's just amazing. One of the best things to come out of I think Minnesota, right? Is where they're based out of. Damn, man. No two songs sound the same on this, and it doesn't overstay its welcome. So I'm gonna end it with this, and I feel like this is something that's definitely something to ponder. It's a very pondering kind of album, and it's a good way to kind of escape. If your ships come in and you're getting away from the island, and if you listen to one last thing, this is a good thing to listen to and walk away from when you look back and have those memories on that island. So yeah, so hope you all enjoyed it. Those were my picks, and thank you for doing this, Jeff. So hasta la vista. Fuck you all. I'm out of here. You all rock. Oh yeah, one more thing. It's actually probably the most important thing to have on this island to bring with you. And none of you guys had this on your list. Yeah. So what I'm talking about here is some heavy black metal. And this is probably the most important heavy black metal that you can have as a companion. I'm talking about this cast iron pan right here. This is some heavy black metal right here. And you're probably thinking, well, Rick, that's not musical. What are you talking about? You ever cook a steak on this? The sizzling music to my ears, and it'll be music to your ears. So yeah, tisk tisk.